making stuff happen. Everybody's wearing like shades of salmon. Pink and salmon all across.
Salmon is delicious.
That's not nice.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather in person and online for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we're glad you're here. I'm Margaret Kinsman, a worship associate and member of this congregation. My pronouns are she, her. I have curly, short hair. From this pulpit, I see our sanctuary filling with people of all ages. Do come in. And I see beyond. Through the window walls of this building, we connect to the outdoors, where it is a glorious, warm, and sunny summer's day. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, the Meskwaki, and the Sioux nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. Our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We are guided by the shared principles and sources of our living religious tradition. This morning, as we reflect on different aspects of service, we will explore how being in service feeds into the interdependent web of life. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. For those online, there is a link to a visitor form in YouTube notes that will let us connect with you. We take a moment now to remember the origins of Memorial Day. First known as Decoration Day, it was born out of the Civil War and a desire to honor the fallen Union and Confederate soldiers by decorating their graves. Just over 100 years later, in 1971, the last Monday of May was declared a federal holiday. The three-day weekend is traditionally marked by displays of the flag, parades, picnics, concerts, red poppies, and a national moment of silence at 3. I think that's tomorrow, not today. And of course, the weekend also marks the unofficial start of summer. The occasion has long been associated with honoring military service and commemorating those who died in defense of their country. As your worship associates, we invite you to join us this morning, not only to memorialize loved ones who have died in war, but to be mindful of those who have done service in other ways, to their country, to their communities, or to causes close to their hearts and minds. We will think about how service often involves sacrifice. If you say yes to service, what might you be saying no to as a consequence? And we will think about how service enriches our lives. Barsha has our opening words.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Cheney, a worship associate and member of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her, and today, this week, my youngest son and I have matching purple and brown hair. I only wish I could have his curls, too. Our call to worship this morning is by Nicole McKay. We gather to remember. We gather to remember those who could not grow old, and those forced to grow old before their time. We gather to mourn and grieve with one another all of our losses, the people, the stories, the loved ones, and the future that could have been. We gather to do the hard work of facing the difficult realities of our present and our past, where there is conflict, violence, war, and hatred. We gather to hold space for silence as we try to make meaning of our history to help us work for peace and justice today. We gather to rekindle our source of hope for our future by recognizing in one another our shared humanity as we join in a concerted commitment for a better tomorrow. We gather because we need community to do all of this holy work. And now I'll turn it over to Alex for our opening hymn.
Hey, everybody. Hey, so this hymn is number 1024, and if you're reading out of the green book, teal. Out of the teal book, or the words are on the screen. So, I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we sing When the Spirit Says Do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Oh, hey, it's time for us to do other words. I need another action. We did do. You gotta walk. Love. You gotta love when the Spirit says love. All right, here we go. 2, 3. You gotta love when the Spirit says love. You gotta love when the Spirit says love. When the Spirit says love, you gotta love. Oh Lord, you gotta love when the Spirit says love. 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 Another one? Dance, march. Dance, we like dance. 2, 3. You gotta dance when the Spirit says. You gotta dance when the Spirit says. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance. Oh Lord, you gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 One more? You gotta clap? Now, when Iowans clap to songs, but maybe you're really good at it. All right, we're doing clap. Here we go. 2 and up. You gotta clap when the Spirit says. You gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. When the Spirit says clap, you gotta clap. Oh Lord, you gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. Now stop. Spirit says clap. Spirit says clap. A little more. Spirit says clap. Spirit says now leg. Spirit says clap. Spirit says clap. Spirit says clap. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Hex lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Thank you, Hex. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of those people who are serving their community or communities this weekend, and therefore may not be able to fully observe their favorite Memorial Day traditions. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wow. 5 minutes before service, y'all weren't here. I'm so glad to see so many faces. My name is Nick Kaplan. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. I'm really excited to get to go outside and use outside as our classroom today, and I am dressed for that heat out there. But first, I'm going to share a story with you. So when we give a gift, whoever we're giving it to, whether it's a coloring book, mutual aid, wisdom, or the gift of our time and energy, we never really quite know what's going to come of that gift. Because we've given it, right? Let's give you an example. The story that we have today is called The Drum, and it's a folk tale from India. In India, they have a set of drums that they refer to as the tabla, and this drumming is taught with words first. So you'll hear me today saying, ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. And that's the words that they would learn for a specific drum beat. Okay? So once, a long time ago in India, there was a little boy who wanted nothing more than a drum. His mother wanted nothing more than to give him that drum, and I bet a lot of the parents in here understand that feeling of just wanting to give that gift that they know will be received well. But she worked hard every day, and even though she worked hard every day, she couldn't afford to buy her little boy a drum. She could barely afford to buy the food that they needed. And one day, after working many long hours, as she walked home, she was really sad. She wanted to give her son that drum, and she couldn't, but she saw a stick. So she picked up that stick, and she took it home, and she gave it to her son, telling him, "This is for you. It's the best I can give you. I wish it were a drum." The boy was happy with the stick. "Thank you, Amma," he said, and immediately began to tap his stick on a pot in their yard. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. He hit the fence as he walked by and carried it down the road, dancing to his own drum beat. Before long, he came upon a neighbor who sat by her cooking fire. She was crying. "What's wrong?" asked the boy, full of concern. "It's my fire. The wood is too wet, and I can't cook my naan bread." The boy looked at his stick. It was dry, so he gave it to the woman. Her fire flared up immediately, and before long she was able to cook her bread. She thanked the boy and gave him a piece of naan. "Thank you," said the boy, but he wasn't hungry. So he just walked on down the road, waving his piece of bread and dancing to his drum beat. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. When all of a sudden, down the road, he heard a child crying. There was a little kid who was with his father, the potter. And the little kid was crying. "Whatsoever is wrong?" asked the little boy. And the potter told him, "We haven't sold a pot in weeks, and we can't afford to buy food. My child is hungry." And the little boy looked at his naan, and he gave it to them. "Here, please take this. I'm not hungry. The baby stopped crying, and the potter was so grateful that he reached for a large pot. Said, "Here, please. No one wants our large pots anymore. Please go ahead and take this in return for your gift." So he lifted the large pot on top of his head, and now he was able to drum on the pot with his fingers as he walked. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. When all of a sudden he came on two people arguing. They were washer people. "Whatever is wrong?" asked the little boy. "We broke our pot, and we can't wash the clothes. How are we going to earn our money if we can't do our job?" Well, the little boy took his pot, said, "Here, take this one." They were so grateful. The washer people were so thankful. They gave him a beautiful coat, lots of embroidery and mirrors all over this gorgeous coat. But the boy wasn't cold. He thanked them, though, because that's what we do, right? We say thank you when we get a gift. But he took it and put it over his shoulder and kept walking down the road. The drum beats continued in his head now. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita, as he walked down the road. Before long, the boy came to a bridge. He noticed there was a man shivering beneath the bridge. What do you think he did? He gave him the coat, that's right. The man explained that he had been robbed. He had almost no clothes. So the little boy said, "Please take my coat." The man was thrilled. He pointed to his horse. He said, "I can't ride or take care of my horse anymore. Please take it as a token of my gratitude." The boy was pleased indeed, but he didn't know how to ride a horse. So he led it along the road, and as he walked, he could hear the drum beats in the horse's hooves. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. And before long, he came to a forest. A bridegroom, his parents, and a group of musicians sat underneath some trees. They looked very unhappy. "Whatever is wrong?" asked the boy. "The groom can't go to his wedding unless he arrives on horseback. But his horse hasn't arrived yet." The boy led his horse over. "Please, take mine." The family was very grateful. "What can we give you in return?" The boy could see that the musicians had more than one drum. "Might I have one of those?" "Of course," they replied. Now the boy walked home, beating on his drum. Ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita, ta-da, tirakita. "Mother!" he called out when he got home. "Look, the stick you gave me turned into a drum." We can make beats with things other than drums, though, can't we? Yeah. Who would like an egg shaker so that we can sing our special song? Thank you. So, any children or youth, or those young at heart, who would like to come outside with us today to begin our summer outside program, go ahead and grab an egg and come with us.
It's kind of dangerous because maybe we all want to go outside.
After service.
After the service. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 Hey Jonah, if you want to, this is fine. Everybody can have an egg. Why not? Raise your hand if you want an egg over here. Jonah, bring them over on this side. People want eggs over here. All right, we'll sing the song one more time so we can all shake our eggs. Yeah! Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibilities. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 one more time. If you promise to be respectful with the eggs, you can keep them for the service.
The following reading reminds us that service almost always comes with a cost, and that some costs are heavier than others. This dramatic monologue was written in 2016 by Zachary Oren Smith and published the following year as a chapbook. That is a chapbook made by Suzanne Clément. The monologue is told from the perspective of Andrew Goodman, who went to Mississippi as a young volunteer in the Freedom Summer of 1964. Goodman and his two comrades, James Chaney and Michael Schwerner, were prevented from carrying out their social justice work by an act of racial terrorism which marked the history of our country. So here we are in 1964 in the voice of Andrew Goodman. Andrew Goodman was late. Mickey, James, and me, we were driving down one of those dismal dirt roads that Mississippi does so well, the kind that as you approach the county line seems to amble more and more, as if Neshoba County herself didn't want us to leave her alone that night. And we should have known better. Two Jews, one black guy, together in a car. There was bound to be trouble. It was June 21st, 1964, and God, were we tired. What were we listening to? It's been so long. The Beatles. I loved the Beatles. We were listening to WLS, a Clear Channel station out of Chicago. I don't remember which of their albums the song was off of. I Want to Hold Your Hand. It had been weeks since I had seen the girl I'd left back home. She may not have been my first love, but she was my long love. And although she didn't like it, She understood why I'd come down here. Every time I heard Lennon say, "How did it go?" "And when I touch you, I feel happy inside," my heart swelled close to bursting with memories of the freckle on her elbow and the angle of her chin when she smiled. I think that was the song that was playing when we first saw the lights. James might have been speeding a little, and it was getting dark. We knew better. Don't give them a reason. That's what we'd been taught. But we were tired, and that was that. Deputy Sheriff Cecil Price pulled us out of the car and took us to the station. Many of us who went to Mississippi that summer talk about going to jail like it was a badge of honor. But when I heard those bars slam behind me, you just never knew what would happen. You sat there and you sat there, and you hoped there was a nickel between the people you were with for a phone call. You wanted someone to be there to pick you up, someone to have your back when you walked out from behind those metal bars, because you didn't know who else might be waiting. Suffice it to say, none of us had any change that night. But that's what was strange. The deputy let us out of the jail cell, walked us out of the police station, and he just smiled. He told us to leave the county, even pointed us in the direction of our car, waving goodbye as he watched us walk down the road. We made it to the car and got back on the road, headed towards the relative safety of Lauderdale County. And we were so very close. But there were those lights again, those reds and blues that made all the night around us quiet. We pulled off onto the median for the second time that night, and the deputy pulled up right beside us. He drew his gun and gestured for us to get in his squad car. Another car had rolled up behind us. They weren't police, but there was a justice they looked for that night. When they finally pulled our bodies from the red clay, there were signs of a struggle. Both Mickey and I had cuts up and down our arms and backs. They put a bullet in each of us, but we didn't get the worst of it. They took their time with James. He'd probably known they would in that resolute way of his. No burns, not this time. They bludgeoned him until even his mother wouldn't recognize him. And it wasn't until his blood finally found his tears that they fired their last shot. I died that night, left my family, my friends, my love, but I had a choice. I didn't have to go down to Mississippi. I didn't have to get involved. I could have stayed in New York. The men who took our lives that night looked like me. They probably had sons who looked like me. Sons that they thought about when they ended my life. But that's a consideration that James Earl Cheney, born in Meridian, Mississippi, was never afforded. I heard President Barack Obama gave medals to our families. I heard there are schools and scholarships named after us. But from the top of this grave, it doesn't seem like much has changed since that night. Me and everyone else who looks like me, we get to choose why we end up in the ground. This was a choice James Earl Cheney never had. Would I have gone to Neshoba County that morning if I had known the quiet I'd find there among the folds of red earth? The answer is, I don't know, but I made a choice. To not act, to not do the work, to be silent, these are all choices too.
We know that service always comes with a cost. To the ones who serve, or to those who are close to them, and often both. We recognize that saying yes to service requires saying no to other opportunities. The volunteer firefighter may miss a child's birthday party. Military families may not be able to forge deep connections in their communities before it's time for them to move again. Protesters give their time and sometimes sacrifice their freedom or personal safety in service to their cause. As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we reflect on those people in our lives who have engaged deeply in service. We'll do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal memories into the flow of all who have struggled or died in service to country, a community, or a cause. The water surrounds and holds the stone just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. Please take a moment to think about the people in your life who have served. Who or what do you pay honor to on this day? What was the cost of their service? If you're participating in our service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now if you're in our sanctuary, please come forward when you're ready, take the stones you need from the basket, and place them in the water as we sing together.
So this is some words that Marcia shared with me, but may be familiar to people who are UU types. All of you? Oh. What is remembered lives. I remember you. We'll sing it like this. What is remembered lives. I remember you. Try it. What is remembered lives. I remember you. Similar, we'll just do what is remembered lives. And then to finish, I remember you. Try it all. What is remembered lives. I remember you. 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 What is remembered What is remembered lives. I remember you. What is remembered lives. I remember you. What is remembered lives. I remember you. What is remembered lives. I remember you.
May we hold the memories and losses of our congregation and the wider community tenderly in our hearts and minds today and in the coming days. Amen, and blessed be. We all perform acts of service, large and small, over the course of our lives. We've talked about what might be given up in the name of service, but it is also important to remember why we serve and what service gives back to us. Why we serve is related to each person's beliefs, values, and circumstances. But what it gives back is a little more universal. Service can make us feel like we have something to offer the world. It can manifest our best selves. Service helps us step out of our own life experience to better understand the lives of others. Service invites us to bear witness to values and ideals we hold dear. It allows us to address injustice when we see it. Service can bring unexpected gifts, a new friend, a deeper understanding, a different skill, even new knowledge about ourselves and others. It helps us build connections. Service allows us to protect the people and ideas we cherish, and it gives us an avenue to create the things we want to exist in our world. It is important, too, that service be remembered and acknowledged. Those who serve without knowing their service is valued feel unappreciated, which can lead to burnout. Over the past few weeks, we've devoted time on Sunday morning to acknowledge the service that many of you offer to this congregation. Words of gratitude were spoken, and applause and gifts have been given. But I noticed that many of the people whose names were read were not present for that acknowledgement. Luckily, there are other ways to express our appreciation. For some people and circumstances, appreciation for service can be more meaningful when expressed directly and individually to the person who serves. Let's take a few minutes to practice that and see how it feels. So take a moment to think about a time that you have served this country, this community, or a cause. For those of you participating online, I'm going to encourage you to journal about service or go to a mirror and thank yourself for the service you've offered. For those here in person, when you hear the chime, you'll turn to the person nearby and share briefly about your service, what you did, and why you did it. Then the person listening will speak words of appreciation for your service. And then we'll switch roles. Margaret and I will model this real quick. Talk first or listen first? Go ahead. Okay. So one of the ways that I've served in the past decade or so is as a Girl Scout leader. When my oldest child was ready for Girl Scouts, there wasn't a troop available for them to join, and so I became a Girl Scout leader to make that opportunity available because I loved Girl Scouts so much when I was a kid.
Well, as a Girl Scout myself, I'm thrilled to hear that you, ex-Girl Scout. I'm really glad you took part in that, and especially thinking about the next generation and keeping avenues open for them. Thank you for doing that. And I, in the early 1980s, joined a group of men and women from my neighborhood who were driving every weekend up to mining communities in Nottinghamshire, where they were on strike for over a year. They had run out of compensation pay, everything had dried up. So we would go up taking food, taking gifts for Christmas, hanging out with them, sleeping on the floors of miners' cottages. And it was hard work, but it was fun. It was in solidarity with people whose work I believed in and wanted to help keep open.
Thank you for your great service to the community. I'm sure you made a huge difference in their lives.
We hope so. And over to you.
All right, and now it's your turn. Ooh, that's loud.
Great.
I'm not sure how much time to do.
I know.
We're doing okay. We just have
Yeah.
offering and closing out.
Yeah.
We'll be like,
The chant and that worked so well. Did you think?
I loved it.
It was incredible. People were taking like 3 and 4 stones, and it was wonderful. Before I do the offering, I'm just going to say, please keep on telling these stories over the picnic. We all want to hear them.
Okay, yeah.
Would that work?
And if you haven't switched places yet, finish up and let the other person talk.
They're talking.
I thought maybe we'd be able to just watch and see when they're done with that one.
I think we're just going to have to.
So maybe let's
And
do
say-
another minute or so, and then put the chimes in. I hope we continue this discussion.
You should say that then when you do the chant. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, they're kind of running down. I think so.
I can tell you all have a lot to say, and I hope that you will continue this conversation after we're done with service today. But I think for now, thank you all for the service that you've done, and we will move on to our offering.
Well, as we've just reminded ourselves, how we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner, this agency this month, is the Free Lunch Program. The Free Lunch Program of Iowa City operates Monday to Saturday through volunteer teams that prepare and serve a nutritious hot lunch to anyone in our community who is hungry. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge to our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is almost completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
If you know this song, I don't mind if you sing along, but it's not required. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls pick them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone to husbands, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone to soldiers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. When will we ever learn? When will we ever learn?
May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we'll have a time for all to join in conversation and community. If you're online, a link to our Zoom coffee hour rooms is available in the description below the video on YouTube. If you're here in person, join us for the potluck lunch and games that will take place in the fellowship hall and outside on the patio. It may take a few minutes to get the potluck set up, If you brought food, you're encouraged to come help get that out onto the serving tables. If you're not able to stay for the potluck, feel free to grab a beverage or a snack before you leave today. Our discussion questions, which you may want to chat about during lunch, reflect the activity we did just a little while ago. What service do you do for country, cause, or community? Why did you choose that type of service? And now to close our service today, we'll sing My Life Flows On in Endless Song, number 108 in the Gray Hymnal.
Number 108 in the Gray Hymnal. I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we sing together. My life flows on in endless song, above this lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Though all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What through the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Thank you.
Thank you. Before we extinguish the chalice, I have two brief announcements. First is the congregational election, which was completed on Friday with 143 voters. All ballot questions and candidates were approved with over 95% of the vote for each. A detailed email with full results will go out on Tuesday. The second announcement, we're looking for volunteers to help with the UUS booth at two Pride events that are coming up soon. The first in North Liberty on June 3rd from 10:30 to 3:30, including setup and tear down, and the second in Iowa City on June 17th. Please contact Ann Shones if you can help. You can talk with Nick after the service if you want to know more about what is involved. So step up. And now, please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. It was hard to light, too.
And as you go out into the world, we offer you these words of inspiration from Wendell Berry. To care for what we know requires care for what we don't. The world's lives darken the soul, dark in the dark. Forbearance is the first care we give to what we do not know. We live by lives we don't intend, lives that exceed our thoughts and needs, outlay our designs, staying by passing through, surviving again and again, the the risky passages from ice to warmth, dark to light. Rightness of scale is our second care. The willingness to think and work within the limits of our competence, to do no permanent wrong to anything of permanent worth, to the earth's life. Known or unknown, now or ever, never destroying by knowledge, unknowingly, what we do not know, so that the world and its mystery, the known, unknown world, will live and thrive while we live. And our competence to do no permanent wrong to the land is limited by the land's competence to suffer our ignorance, our errors, and, provided the scale is right, to recover, to be made whole.
Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Blessed be. Blessed be. Blessed be. Blessed be. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so.